I wanted to do this earlier, but I was watching the Warriors and Rockets game with my grandparents and things of that nature. So I said to myself, well, as soon as that game is done and I can relax a little bit, now go ahead and make special podcast number 9. So, ladies and gents, welcome to special podcast number 9 of the Business Mind Leaders, aka the Wolfston. I'm your host, Q Moore, also known as Chinchilla Q of HitRockerProductionsTM.com. Now, the reason why I'm doing a special podcast number 9 on May 16, 2018 is for the fact that I have great news. If you guys remember my last special podcast that I did, let me actually take a look real quick before I even give you guys a wrong date. Ooh, I need to actually keep this page open. No. Oh yeah, I need to keep that page open. Now I need to keep open. There we go. I'm looking for my Spreaker account. And the reason being because I'm actually looking for the podcast episode that we did where we talk about net neutrality. Now, for those of you guys that don't know what net neutrality is, well, net neutrality is, I think this it right here? I don't want to press play. I'm trying to see which one this was. Booyah. Now, net neutrality. Now, we was talking about way back in December 14, 2017. Did a special podcast on that. It's special podcast number 7. It's called Death of a Free Open Internet. And what net neutrality is basically it's like a certain little law that Obama had put in place for the ISPs, which stands for Internet Service Providers, which means that Internet Service Providers does not throttle like Verizon or AT&T does when it comes to yours. Actually, I take that back. Like any major phone carrier that throttles your data speeds. Meaning, you know how you be at work and you have some places where you be on your phone, whatnot, and you get great speed and great coverage to the point where your phone moves fast. But as soon as you move to a particular spot, you get no service at all. Yeah. Some phone companies like Verizon, sometimes AT&T, and sometimes, Sprint Mobile, and whatever, and some others, they throttle, which means they slow down the speeds at certain times or whatever, or they slow it down depending on what kind of plan that you have. So that's just why, you see them try to upsell you on the bigger plans that you got to pay a whole lot more money for in order to get that same type of speed and great coverage that you would have at a lower plan. So in net neutrality, when it got repealed by a GPI back on December 14, 2017 by the FCC, two ladies, I forgot both of their names, one of them left the FCC because of the stuff that was going on there, and the other one's still there, but a GPI and two other dudes had decided to vote to repeal the Net Neutrality Act that Obama had in place. And basically, this goes all the way back to 2000, if I'm not mistaken, 2015-ish, where it was two other bills that's try to have the internet service providers, do the same thing that they try to do right now, which is once the net neutrality had been repealed and things of that nature, internet service providers, what they basically was trying to do, let's say you have like AT&T or Verizon Fios, whatever. The reason why I'm using those, actually Comcast or Spectrum and things of that nature. The reason why I say AT&T for Verizon, because they're kind of like the bigger ones, especially for Verizon Fios. I'll be honest, they do have very good high-speed internet service, but they kind of sketchy on their business model. Other than that, though, the reason why I'm mentioning them, not sponsored by them, not tried this or anything, but the reason why I'm mentioning them is because we'll give you guys a good example. Let's say that the net neutrality thing is still being repealed. All right. Let's say that YouTube is still free open source, for internet. But let's say that there was a regulation on there to where you get on YouTube, you watch a video, the next thing you know, an advertisement comes up say, in order to watch another video, you have to pay additional $2. But let's say that your internet service providers like Verizon or AT&T, and you have an advertisement that pops up after you watch a YouTube video, and Verizon or AT&T, for the internet part, not for the phone, but for like the main home-based internet part pops up, and it says for $5 extra more, you can get unlimited, watching of YouTube, or limited. Let's see. Let me try to get a good example. Good example would be, you can watch as many YouTube videos as you want. You can go on Instagram and scroll as much as you want for pictures and stuff like that. I mean, yeah, the repeal of net neutrality was going to be where internet service providers will be able to put a little premium as to what you do. Basically, what net neutrality was going to be, once they got repealed, was that the internet service providers or ISPs, what they were going to do was, you can, put this way, if you want to get the top tier bundle plan, meaning if you want to get on Snapchat, Facebook, and Instagram, you have to pay the additional however much amount of money they want you to pay in order to get on there. As well, if you want great internet speed, you have to pay an additional blah, 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 or pay the high tier item, top tier package in order, to, in order to get all the bells and whistles and enjoy internet. Basically, what net neutrality was the repeal of net neutrality was going to kill the freedom of having an open stream internet, which means you're free to do whatever you want to do on the internet. If you want to get on Google and look up something for your home, you're able to do that. As opposed for the internet service providers, telling Google, or they sell you a package to where you can use Google and things of that nature. When net neutrality got repealed back in December of 2017, it was a big shock to everybody, because it's like, really? FCC, y'all decided to do this? But you had some idiots inside the FCC, that they really understand net neutrality and things of that nature, and why Obama had placed the little law he did in order, for internet service providers not go crazy and start to and start to overcharge us for using internet that's free and open source and things of that nature. So once that had popped off, mainly we was like, okay, so what's going to happen? So laws had to get passed to the House and the Senate in order for us to keep the net neutrality. And basically different states has been fighting against the repeal that G. Pide had did and things of that nature. But I got breaking news. The breaking news is that Senate votes to overturn G. Pide's net neutrality repeal. What overturn means is that the Senate does not agree with a G. Pide did to repeal net neutrality. So what the Senate did, they said, screw it, we overturn it. We want to keep the law that was in place to make sure that internet service providers does not monopolize the internet and really screw everybody over. So that right there was major news. Now, we got to get the House to vote. Some of you guys might be thinking to yourself, I got to get my house to vote for it? No. You got to remember, this is Congress. This is the government we're talking about. You got the House and you got the Senate. If you don't know your economics or, your geography, stuff like that, not geography, but if you don't know your economics and things of that nature, you might, or your government, you might want to study up on that. But with the House and the Senate, the House, they have their own little section on what they do. Senate does too. So the Senate had overturned the G Pies thing. We try to get the House to do that. So that way they give it to Donald Trump. And Donald Trump, can veto it or whatever to make it to law. So that way the internet service providers does not screw over us, the American people, on having a free, open source internet. Because if you look at other countries like China or Russia, some places, they have a whole lot of regulations as to what they can do on the internet, especially China. Like, I don't think they have Facebook and certain little things of that nature. So they kind of screw when it comes to their net neutrality, things of that nature. But for us, we're free to surf the web as much as we want and things of that nature. But at the same time, we have our little limitations, but we still have more freedom to do whatever we want to do on the World Wide Web or the internet. So this is big news that the overturn by the Senate is just one step closer to fighting this battle. This battle still is not done yet, so hopefully a G's Pies repeal could get demolished, so that way the internet go back to be how it used to be. For the internet service providers, sorry to you guys. I understand you guys, need to make your money and stuff like that, but we already know that most of y'all are big corporations that love to monopolize and love to get more money out of the little man for little things, stuff like that nature. I know it's all part of economics and things of that nature, but it's best for us to have an open, free internet than to have one that's truly bound down in chains by the government, to have the government tell us what we can do with our internet. That's basically net neutrality is. The repeal of it is, almost like having the government basically tell us what we can and cannot do with our own internet or how we use the internet. Yeah. Like, this podcast wouldn't have been possible if net neutrality truly went into effect. Well, the repeal of it to where internet service providers took over and the government took over, then guess what? I probably will be doing this podcast, because podcast is almost like going against the powers that be or stuff like that. And they don't like things like this where you have freedom of speech, or different things like the meme that's going on of old girl out in Oakland that called the cops on the African American folks that was barbecuing in the park, and she decided to call the cops because you guys using charcoal grills. I'm gonna get Joe Stanford penguin looking behind out of here just hating. But that's a whole nother story for a whole nother day. Seriously, I mean, the nerve of some individuals out here. But we gotta dump behind in the office and got your own part of your own race looking stupid and stuff. I mean, it's like a plague. It just happens. And whatever. Country showing true colors. But that's another topic for another day. We ain't gonna talk about that right now. What we talk about is that we, American people, should thank the Senate, but also you should thank yourselves if you call your senator and let them know that the repeal of net neutrality is not great at all. That the government should not try to control our internet as to what we can and cannot do on it. So, this is part 1 of a victory. I'm having another special podcast if anything else comes up, which I know it will pretty soon. But with that though, ladies and gents, thank you guys for tuning in to special podcast number 9. And with that, I catch you guys on the flip side. Fight on, stay strong, peace out, one love.